Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel and Naka Design. Today I am going to be making a swatch card for this new purchase that I made of Artist Soft Pastels. And because that may be somewhat boring to you, the viewer, I'm also going to throw in a gift with purchase. I'm going to confess something to you. And we know that for most of us, confessions don't come easy. So anyway, I just want, this got damaged when I threw it aside, but I just thought this packaging was interesting, and it may be of interest to you to see the brand. I know nothing about soft pastels. The only ones I've ever owned up to this point have been oil pastels. So let's dig in, and I will talk as I do this kind of repetitive task. Now, this little spongy part, I guess, was here, and this desiccant was here as protection. So I don't know what I'll do with that. Maybe nothing, because I'm trying to be less of a pack rat and saving every possible thing that comes into my life. So, oh, and here's another little spongy thing. That's good. So this will be some protection for these items. Now it says vibrant color and rich laydown. Now, the only reason that I bit the bullet and bought these guys, this set, the largest set available, or at least at the art store that I was at, was because it was on sale for something like, I don't know, 30% off or something like that. So, there were also sets, I was going to say sets of 12 and 24 perhaps. So I don't know what colors. I mean, I did have a look at color, but honestly, if you were me, would you be able to settle for 24 if there were 48? Would you be able to settle for 12 if there were 48? I don't think so. Now, of course, I also did some mental math. 2 sets of 24 would have been more expensive than 1 set of 48. So there was some logic to my purchase as well. Okay, so that's what this looks like. I don't know if I will keep the desiccant. We live in a dry climate, so it's probably not that big a deal here. Okay, so what I did was, does this not look good enough to eat? Can we get that out of the way right off the bat? Like, look at those colors. Okay, so what I did was I pulled out a piece of watercolor paper. Now, this is not going to be the greatest paper ever. I did, touch some some beautiful pieces of, 300-pound paper and so on, but I thought I'm not using that for a swatch card. Now, I'm sure thousands of videos out there on swatching everything from pencils to markers to pastels to watercolors and acrylics. I've shown you some of my own swatches, and I have to say that the impulse was to make a nice grid, excuse me, draw 48 symmetrical boxes and be prepared in that way, and sort of have them either within those spaces or, artfully extend beyond. But no, let's just plunge right in. How big is this paper anyway? Probably 9 by 12. Yeah, 9 by 12. So, we could do 4 rows of 12. Or we could just start. We could just start. So let's just start. Oh, and before I forget, don't let me forget that I also wanted to try, at the end, just playing a bit with some of the colors on these scrap pieces of Anaglypta wallpaper. Now, unfortunately, this was the first and easiest roll to get to. I know that somewhere, I have some pre-cut pieces that have of different varieties, different designs. Let me put this right here. So I'll continue to try to flatten them out with the sat iron. Now, of course, with such an intense texture, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I'm thinking, remember, my word for 2025 is risk, that I have nothing to lose by trying it on a few scrap pieces. And the worst case scenario would be that I create something that, you know, ends up in an art journal. So having laid all that groundwork, let's just start. Now I have wipes at the ready in case this is very dirty. I did say that I've used oil pastels, and that, I mean, oil pastels are readily on the market. Oh, that is nice, eh? Now these these sticks don't have color names, so I don't have to worry about labeling them. Now, what these things will actually do, I guess, will be, figuring that out will have to be either another video or just through the course of using them and playing to see whether or not, you know, let me just pull out another reminder to myself. When I was at the art store, I also bought a couple of paper stomps. This is size 2. This is a size 5. I imagine the most popular size was somewhere in between, but of course that box was empty. So we'll just lay that there as a reminder to maybe try some of that at the end. I better figure this out. I better make these things smaller. I'm not going to get them all on the same page. Aye. So that would have been the benefit. Mind you, it looks like there's a lot of black. There are probably at least 3 blacks and there are 2 whites, so maybe it'll be all right. It'll have to be all right. Anyway, I was talking about oil pastels. So I, of course, had the Reeves brand set. I think all of us have probably owned that at some point in our lives because it was affordable and it was colorful, and, you know, we were only too glad to give that a try. So I don't know how much this white on white will show. Not at all. I'll squeeze one more in here just as a signal that there is something there. Now, we know that there is pastel paper that exists for the very purpose of pastel work, and that it has an interesting tooth that is going to grab this pigment, and it also needs sealing after the project is complete so that it doesn't continue to flake. Now, can you see those tiny little specks? What happens if I... Yeah, they did fall off. Oh, this snazzy piece of plastic here came out of a few pieces of this came out of, I'm thinking it's probably too glary for you, came out of a wallpaper book that I was deconstructing last night. So of course I will continue to use that. Maybe I only need one of these. I will continue to use that, of course, until it gets, for mixed media stuff, until it gets too gross to carry on. Holy cow, that's bright. Now I'm going to find that I scrunched this all together, and that too is going to look a little odd. Anyway, back to those oil pastels. So I was taking art classes from this successful American artist who, I don't know if it was love that brought her to Canada, and she settled in Edmonton, but she had originally been a New York-based artist who was, obviously showing and selling and teaching in New York City. So I'm thinking that that in itself has to be a credential of some sort. Anyway, long story short, I was taking a class from her, and I've talked about these art classes before. And it occurred to me, the very first one I took, I think, was Fundamentals of Art or something like that. Or maybe it was basic, I don't know, something really basic. And the medium was acrylics. So I don't know what, and of course there was always critique done of our work, both by the instructor and eventually as we became more skilled, learning how to properly critique our own work and others was part of what we were being taught. Now these grays kind of look, well, I guess there's a slight difference. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so I don't remember what what in particular she was trying to teach me. But she said, I think that I would like to see you do some color work, some drawing with pastels, with oil pastels. So like a good girl, I followed that advice. Now, I don't know. Okay, so this is what would appear to be a black. Let's see if this, what looks like black, is any different. I don't think so. And I can't really see a difference between that black and those either, although that is quite a distance between them. So I don't know if that was homework for the slow kid in the class, or just a technique that she thought I especially would benefit from, or whatever. So, someday maybe I'll show you those drawings because I still have them. She obviously had a lot of, she had plants in her studio, and she had other still life type objects. And of course, I also took a life drawing course from her, in which case we had live naked models. And so she had one of those very beautiful cactuses with gorgeous red flowers. So that's some of those. I'll look at, we can do fingerprint analysis. And her fingerprints were all over it. So, yeah. Okay, so the lesson here is that if you want your swatch card to be a thing of beauty and not either run out of space or have too much left over, do yourself a favor and draw a grid. Anyway, so yeah, at some point I will show you that, because now that I paid for them and now that I've cracked the seal on them, I had better use them. Okay, let me clean my hands a wee bit, because really that is kind of bad. And you could see how dirty hands could ruin a piece In this case, it's not the end of the world because it is just a swatch card. Now I do have, this is just plain old cardstock. I could try that on here too, and we can see if there is a difference. So the marks, I'll just do a few of these in reverse order here. The marks are not as interesting. Isn't that a great color? Okay. Again, wipe, wipe, wipe. So those are the same as those. So you can see that the more textural the substrate, the more interesting the marks. So why don't we, again, this is turning into a science experiment. Let's try a piece of this anaglypta. So it is, there was a time, I don't know if this stuff is still in the market, but certainly you can find partial and full unopened rolls of anaglypta wallpaper at thrift stores because, and I always wanted to do a wall like this in my house, not with this pattern, but with the one that looks like plaster, because there was a time when that was a very popular look. So we're going to do the same 4 colors. And because this is rough, you can see that the chalk is essentially just hitting the high points, and the lowest points remain essentially white, other than for some of the crumbs and the dust that have settled down there. But can you see how much fun and what unexpected results you could get by playing with this stuff? So let's do the old comparison again. So we should move this a little bit out of the way. We have this and this. Oops. And now this. Maybe if I hold it this way, you'll get a better look. So I think that other than, you know, obviously getting kind of dirty, that this will be a lot of fun to do something with, to experiment with. I don't see a spray water bottle. Now this paper will not take that well because, of course, it is just cardstock. I don't necessarily... See, I was going to cut this down, but maybe what I should do instead is make marks again right below those 4. And this time, you know, wouldn't it be nice if I had a spray bottle here? I probably do, but didn't think of getting it. Oh, maybe. I got this tiny spritzer, and there's actually water in it. Woohoo! But I could definitely try the paper stomp to see how well it will blend on this textural paper. Okay, so let's try this bigger one. Oh, looky there. Well, let's do the whole thing. Now, I said to the guy at the store, now I risk contaminating this color, but I could also blend the... So you can see how that the possibilities that are there with just using a blending tool. So basically he said can use sandpaper to clean it, or a knife, you know, just chisel off. Where's my knife? Don't have sandpaper necessarily right here. Again, the risk of making a mess. I don't think this really considered. Oh yeah, see, that works quite nicely. And these things really are very cheap. The, you know, I don't know exactly, I didn't pay attention to what exactly I paid for a particular size, but we're talking, you know, $1 or $2. Okay, so that is good to know. Now I don't know if sandpaper would make less of a mess. Now, of course, this is not vinyl. I love the look of this. This is not vinyl backed. Maybe let's stick with the watercolor paper that is intended to take water. And we'll do yet a third row of these 4 colors. Let me move this out of the way because it's kind of starting to annoy me. It's in the way. Oh, and I promised you a confession. Okay, so we know that it's never easy to admit that one has made a mistake or held an incorrect belief or, you know, been kind of off target in some way. But I think it's worth saying this anyway, just because, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I had a paintbrush? Oh, how about a brush pen? Do I have a brush pen here? A water pen. Oh, not very well prepared. Okay, so what am I trying to say here? Holy cow, I put this knife away without tightening it. That was an accident waiting for a place to happen. Honestly, I just have to. I'm going to leave you for a second while I walk around and grab a brush. Every time I watched a video or saw the title of a video where somebody was saying, oh, come and play, come have fun, let's play and have fun. This is going to be fun, this is going to be play, let's play. I would do an inward cringe and think to myself, aren't you underestimating and selling our viewers short by assuming that the only way they'll watch a video or try a technique is if you promise them that it will be fun? And this is where we stop and wait for water to flow. This, you know, if I had a nickel for every time a sprayer from these teeny ones to the giant ones have disappointed me, I would, I don't know what I would do. Okay, I have a little jar here. Maybe I can just, oh, here's another. Is there anything in that one? Let's try that one. Anyway, so that was, oh, that was me feeling, oh, this is not water soluble. I mean, I guess it is to some degree, but it's not really, the color's not really spreading. Let's try this on another one. Maybe I didn't wet it enough. This is very primitive stroking that I'm doing here. Okay, all it does is maybe soften up. Oh, look how that blends just with a finger. Who needs a stomp? Yeah, so this doesn't really do anything, or very little. So I think if a person is looking for water-soluble something potential, you know, probably look elsewhere. Anyway, so back to what I was saying. So that's what I was silently thinking and saying to myself as I heard all that reference. I heard the F word and the P word, fun and play. But I've changed my mind about that. I've come to the understanding that, especially probably in this day and age and in this current political and world climate, that very many of us are pretty tightly wound. We have legitimate worries. We have uncertainty about the future. And that's in addition to the normal pressures that many of us feel just in getting from one day to the next. You know, it could be health concerns. It could be worrying about children or grandchildren. It could be worrying about job security or whatever. It could be worrying about keeping body and soul together with, you know, how tough it is economically. So everyone had a lot of stuff going on in addition to what is additional and recent on top of that. So I would count myself among those who were perhaps a little tightly wound, a little anal, a little type A. Now, I've certainly gotten better over the years, but I've come to believe that most of us need the encouragement, need the invitation, need the permission, need a little, as we used to say back in the day, paradigm adjustment to our mindset. Play and fun are not four-letter words. They're not bad. They're not mindless. They're not immature. They're not bad words. They could be, for some people, the entry point into rediscovering what it was like to be a kid and have fun. I know from both taking art classes and teaching art classes that sometimes all it takes is a harsh critique or some insensitive words from a teacher, and I'm going to blame the public school system for that because there seem to be a lot of those people there, you know, where the creativity is, not literally, but is symbolically beaten out of young people. So when we are parents and we are mothers, and we see our first kid, we see our kid grab their first crayon, and hopefully a piece of paper and not the wall, and make that first mark with those stubby little, with those fat little fingers and those, you know, the hand-eye coordination is still growing, and we see them make those marks, and we are ecstatic because it means that our kid is a potential genius, for heaven's sakes. Now, if we are nurturing and we're trying to give our kids the best opportunities possible without turning them into the monsters that some kids become, we will encourage that, and we will gush over it, and we will encourage them to do more. And then all of a sudden they get to kindergarten or grade 1, and some big meanie is telling them that the sky is blue. Look, you went out of the lines over here. So I've had adults tell me that an unkind or insensitive, because maybe it isn't deliberate, criticism at an early age has scarred them to the point that they have never picked up another art medium since that time. That is unforgivable. That is inexcusable. And I now am joining the ranks of YouTube creators who will be using the F word and who will be using the P word and saying, what in the world do we have to lose by trying? By reconnecting with that inner kid, by giving that child who was maybe harshly judged permission to try again. And so that's the mindset that I'm using moving forward. And just to finish this little sample here a bit, why don't I pick a few other gorgeous colors? Should we continue in the blue-green family? Wouldn't these lend themselves beautifully to doing something for my someday peacock journal? So I think what I'm going to do when I have some time is get my rolls of Anaglypta together and begin and cut them into standard sized sheets, flatten them out, and have them ready to use. Because again, that is one way to ensure that some of these supplies, wonderful supplies, actually are so accessible and so ready to go that we have no conceivable excuse for not using them. I love this. Let's just see with the, what is this? Heel of the hand? If any of this is going to rub off. Oh, yes. So the point will, the challenge, geez, I didn't have to do it really that hard, did I? So of course, the thing to do will be to remember to add a sealant of some sort. So that could be matte medium. You know, obviously the stinkier, more toxic option would be a spray fixative in an aerosol can. But I would never do that inside here because I have no tolerance for toxic smells. I am so glad I decided today to have fun and play. And I hope that over the coming days, weeks, and videos that you choose to join me in that. Anyway, guys, I am thrilled with these. And as promised, I will show you those oil pastel drawings at some point. And who knows, maybe it'll be time to do a swatch card of that as well. Now, those obviously are more, they would have a different binder in them. So they're not going to lift like this. yeah, we'll do a comparison. In the meantime, if you have some supplies that you haven't yet swatched, maybe let that be the place that you begin to play today. I will also say that while I was looking through my pouch of small watercolor paper pieces, I also set aside, now I'm kind of almost afraid to touch them with these dirty hands. I also set aside a bunch of these that I hope are at least 2 inches wide, because I will be taking part in Amy Maricle's Inchy Challenge. I think it's the entire month of February. I've done some of this before, and I love them, and I really should find them and show you them as well. And of course, she suggests working small, even though she's calling it inchy. The squares are in fact 2 by 2 by 2 by 2. So I'm going to cut a stack of them. Again, using the same rationale that if they are prepped, easy to find, easy to grab, that increases the odds of actually using our stuff by probably 98%. Anyway, you didn't think there'd be math here today, did you? Anyway, thanks guys for joining me, and we will see you in the next one. Now go play and have some fun. Okay, bye-bye.